Hello friends, it's Tanya with Tinkering and Ink with Tanya, and I'm back with a crafty video. Today I have Honey as my co-pilot. She decided she needed to come hang out with me while I'm doing my voiceover. You may hear some of her noises. We are doing a Caffeinated Reindeer for the Crafty Christmas Club this month. This is a stamp and die that I got in the mail the day I made this video. I was so excited to use this. I have been eyeing up the Rabbit Hole Designs creations for some time now, and I just had to get this Caffeinated Reindeer. I did leave the coloring in this video for those of you that enjoy it, and I am putting the Copic colors in the top corner of the screen while I'm doing the coloring. I'm just doing some very simple coloring. There is a little bit of shading. I'm only using 2 colors per area. And if you want to skip ahead to avoid watching me color this reindeer, which you are more than welcome to do, I will put the time marker in the description box below. This card was a complete evolution. I knew that I wanted to use this reindeer and die, and that's as much as I knew when I started this card. We all have this need to wake up in the morning. We all have our beverage of choice. Mine happens to be tea. There is caffeine in most of the teas I drink, but not all. But I understand this feeling of just needing your morning cuppa, whatever your morning cuppa is. And Christmas can bring that out in all of us. I just love that he's kind of quirky and a little bit irreverent and so honest when it comes to especially moms and maybe dads on Christmas morning, especially if they've had to do a whole lot of extra wrapping, etc. the night before. I am going to do a green robe on this fellow to allow the red and white candy canes to be highlighted. I chose a couple of really light greens, and I'm trying very carefully to go around. It doesn't take long to color this image unless you're, trying to talk through the entire coloring process. Then it feels like forever. But it actually is a pretty quick coloring project. I do really appreciate using the Sakura Jelly Roll pens to add some extra detail to this image or to any image. I like to cover things with clear Wink of Stella, which I will do later in this coloring process. And you want to do that before you use the Sakura Jelly Roll pens, because the Wink of Stella or any of the sparkle pens will dissolve your Sakura Jelly Roll pen markings. So you want to make sure that you do that first. I'm keeping this coffee cup very simple. I'm imagining it's kind of a white one. So I'm using some W warm grays to color that. And the candy canes are going to just be this one color. I mean, it's just the lightest touch. And to avoid any unintentional blobbing, I took both caps off of the Copic marker. If you've been using Copics for very long, you've experienced the blobbing phenomena when the pressure inside of the marker is not equalized and it just suddenly burps out a bunch of ink, which is not fun. I'm telling you, it's awful. Especially if you have been coloring on an image and are nearly done, and it's one of the last colors you're going to use, and it decides to burp all over. Ew. There are no burp claws for that. So I'm going to die cut this image with the coordinating die. I'm going to use my little sidekick because it's small enough that it can go through this. There are a whole lot of images, especially the coordinating dies for images that fit in the sidekick. It is handy to not have to use the big machine sometimes. Here's where the clear Wink of Stella comes in, along with the Sakura Jelly Roll pens. And that's where I reminded myself, do the clear wink of Stella first, because yeah, I've done it wrong before. I've done it the other way and regretted it. The other thing you want to remember to do is to be sure to let the clear wink of Stella dry, or whatever sparkle pen. I know Nuvo has one. I think Altanu has one. There's a whole bunch of sparkle pens on the market. Anyway, this one, I did not wait for it to dry, and it's a little difficult for me to get the Sakura black jelly roll pen to fill in that pupil on that reindeer. The other clue with Sakura jelly roll pens is you want to break the seal that the last use created. It dries on the end and kind of ties up your little ballpoint. So just using a piece of scratch paper to clear that end or that tip before you start is a good hint. I'm adding clear jelly roll to the coffee mug, the antlers, the nose, the candy canes, and the hooves. And now see, that was a burp I wasn't expecting. I'm using this Marvy snow marker, which I've had for a long time. And you do need to shake it before use. And I'm not sure. I think I probably pressed down like I was priming the marker. You have to do that with like paint markers and stuff. Anyway, I think I did that and caused my own burp. That was probably my own fault. I want this reindeer's robe to have a fluffy fur-like edging. So I'm dabbing the snow marker on the areas I want to be puffy. You can see that there. I can't believe how easily it cleaned up that big burp mess. And we're going to heat set that, and you can see that puff up like magic. I thought that for sure the Marvy snow marker would be available on Ellen Hudson or scrapbook.com or any of those places. Simon Says. None of them had them when I went to do my links for my affiliate links. I did find it on Amazon, which apparently is where I purchased this back in January of 2018. Isn't it convenient the way Amazon tells you when you purchase something last? There is a second layer of the Marvy snow marker there to get the extra puffiness. I used a coaster blank and die cut the same die, and we're going to use that to add a little dimension. So I'm just going to glue that on with some Barely Art precision glue, and we'll put that under something heavy just to let that dry quick. We're also going to use the Trinity Stamps Layered Coffee Beans stencil set. This is a 6x6 stencil set, and I'm using Gathered Twigs Distress Oxides ink here for the lighter brown, and I will just quickly cover this. I just put the stencil on a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock. I believe it's either craft or it's a craft color from a company. I don't know which one. I am a bit of a card kit addict, and I have a bunch of cardstock from different companies. So it could be Simon Says stamp, it could be paper tray ink, it could be, heck, it could still be Stampin' Up, although I do go through craft cardstock more than most. So a tip with these layering stamps, they do have the laser etching that you line up the previous or the opposing patterned stencil images with, but it's not, I mean, you have to figure out which direction it needs to be, front, back, and which edge. If you look on the edge of these, they do have a laser edged title on the bottom saying the company or the name of the stamp, the name of the stencil set. So if you find that, it's on both of them and it's in the same orientation. So that will at least get you in the right flipped direction and in the right turned direction. So you can find your stenciled image and line it up faster. Wow, that saves me a ton of time. The second color I used was the ground espresso. That's what it was. Now I'm using a Cat Scrappiness double stitched rectangle die here to die cut the largest. And we're going to see, this is totally evolving. I'm deciding I want to do a window or a shaker card. So I'm using a Spellbinders Essential Ovals die, which there is a coordinating Glimmer foil die, plate for this. And we're going to use it to create a dotted border around the outside of this oval with some pewter hot foil, which it looks amazing. There is apparently a coffee bean color too, but I don't own that one. I own several, but I don't have the coffee bean one, and I'm gonna have to get it because it's a nice deep dark. But this pewter, oh, I'm really loving the pewter. So this is the Glimmer hot foil system, and you heat up the plate on that and then run it through your die cut machine. I'm going to create a window with some packaging. Just going to cut that, and it does adhere well with the Barely Art precision glue. This stuff is amazing. I love it. But I have decided that I am going to get a bag sealing tool, which honestly, it's in my Amazon cart and I already ordered it. It should be here in about a week because I think I'm going to start doing pockets. I think it just will be easier for me. I have plenty of stamp packaging that I'm recycling to use for windows. I'm using some coaster blanks to add a little dimension behind this window. And I won't make you watch me do the whole thing. I'm just trimming it down to fit around, and I'm doing a double layer to give it enough space to wiggle because we're going to use some clay embellishments. And when I first heard of clay embellishments, I thought, oh, they have got to be too big, too thick, and I wasn't interested, but I did get some as a sample, and that convinced me otherwise. So we're also going to use the layered birch stencil set, but it's just for to make these slopes, because originally I was going to use the dashing through the no sentiment from this stamp set, but that's going to change. You'll see that. So here's the Trinity Stamps S'mores Please clay embellishments, and I've been dying to use these. I have a bunch of campfire and bonfire and s'mores themed stamp sets that I'm going to pull out. That's going to happen. This may have been a mistake. I used this pure Sheen glitter in chocolate from Nuvo, and it came in a Tonic card kit. That's the only reason I have a giant bottle of glitter, because glitter is not really my friend. However, I thought, it's brown. Let's try putting it in this coffee-themed card. You'll have to let me know how you feel about this. So we're going to put a good layer of glue down, and then we're going to adhere these snowdrift background to the back of it, and that should seal everything up. I think I did have one little leak, but I just took my Barely Art precision glue, that little tiny nozzle, and squirted glue in until it wouldn't take anymore and let that dry and seal. So we now have our shaker component complete, and we're going to adhere that to a A2 card base. So that's a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card base. And I'm using the Accent 100-pound cardstock, also from Amazon. It's a great price and it works great. Instead of using the dashing through the no, we are using the reindeer fuel stamp. And I stamped that with VersaFine Onyx Black, and I am using Brutus Monroe Icicle embossing powder. It's a nice clear embossing powder that always makes this beautiful raised image for me. So we'll adhere our little deer right over the shaker packet. And I'm going to just tuck that in behind the reindeer and under the edge of the oval. right in there and let that adhere. I don't have to put anything heavy on it. It sticks just fine. And here you're seeing it shake. It moves well. Those 2 layers of coaster blank were quite enough. We're going to take the stencils again and add a little bit of stenciling to the inside because I think it's just a quick and easy and effective way to decorate the inside of your card. Using whatever's left on the blender brush. This is my brown blender brush. I don't have a specific brush for each color. I just have a brush for each color-ish, like browns, grays, red, orange, yellow, green, blue. That's the way it's working. And instead of pulling out the Misty, this time I was going to take a risk and just do a block with VersaFine Onyx Black, which never lets me down. This says caffeine gives... Oh man, that was too fast. I can't tell you what it said. Let me know if you like this card. And be sure to check out the links in the description box below for the products I used. Check out Rabbit Hole Designs. They've got a ton of amazingly adorable things. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel and check me out in my other social media accounts. Bye-bye now.